Insurance fraud in the UK has hit epidemic levels. It's costing us over £1.3 billion every year. That's almost £3.6 million every day. Deliberate crashes, bogus personal injuries, even phantom pets. The fraudsters are risking more and more to make a quick killing, and every year it's adding over £50 to your insurance bill. But insurers are fighting back, exposing 14 fake claims every hour. Armed with covert surveillance systems,
that's a subject out the vehicle,
sophisticated data analysis techniques, and a number of highly skilled police units, they're catching the criminals red-handed.
Just don't lie to us.
All those conmen, scammers and cheats on the fiddle are now caught in the act and claimed and shamed. Today, a sports car's anti-fraud technology puts the brakes on a fraudster's lie.
You understand the car's just been stolen?
Yes, mate. Well, it was between 10 o'clock last night and I've only just noticed it's been gone, mate, yeah.
I'll tell you now, sir, there's a tracker in it.
Excellent.
A drinker attempts to make a claim despite CCTV knocking back their story.
The response we received back was that they were proceeding with the claim. We were shocked. How you can even suggest that that was a genuine claim was beyond Wetherspoons.
And how this seemingly innocent hot dog purchase is connected to a notorious fraud ring. With over 400,000 cars written off every year, drivers can be left stranded if they don't have replacement wheels. That's where credit hire companies come in. Neil Thomas is the Director of Investigation Services at APU.
What happens with credit hire is if a motorist is involved in a non-fault accident, they're entitled in law to a replacement like-for-like car.
So, if another driver damages your car in an accident that's their fault, the insurers will go to a credit hire company to source a hire car for you. Accident Exchange is a UK-wide credit hire company that specialises in the luxury end of the market. They have in excess of 2,000 top-of-the-range cars.
So we're talking Bentleys, Ferraris, Audi R8s, mainly the prestige side of the business, probably worth about in excess of £50 million worth of vehicles.
The fleet of mind-blowing motors is a fraudster's dream, so Accident Exchange has developed its own high-security technology. Neil recently investigated a case that was jump-started by the car's onboard security device. It all began innocently enough.
Mr. Kenton came into Accident Exchange because he'd had a genuine accident, so his car was damaged. He's entitled in law to a like-for-like replacement.
And that's what he got, an Audi TT convertible. But soon after taking delivery of the replacement car, Kenton rang Accident Exchange to report that disaster had struck again.
What he actually said on the phone call was that the car had been stolen.
Good afternoon. Can I place your claim reference, please?
I don't actually know. I'm just ringing up to see if I can get some details off you guys. I've got the Audi TT.
Right.
It's been stolen, but the police have asked me to contact you guys to see who the registered keepers are.
The Accident Exchange claims handler asked Mr. Kenton for his take on how the car could have been stolen. No easy task with the vehicle's high security features.
Mr. Kenton thought that the keys had dropped from his toolbox when he went into the house, and he presumed that somebody had picked up the keys and stolen the car with the keys. When we looked at the explanation given by the client, it was clear that something wasn't right.
But at this stage, they weren't sure what. Luckily, the enhanced security technology would reveal all, and the team called Mr. Kenton to let him know.
Hello, Mr. Kenton.
Hello?
Hello, it's the protection unit. Understand the car's just been stolen?
Yes, mate. Well, it was between 10 o'clock last night and I've only just noticed it's been gone, mate, yeah.
I'll tell you now, sir, there's a tracker in it.
Excellent.
So chances are we might be able to recover that.
Perfect.
Was he putting on a front, or was he genuinely pleased to hear about the tracker? The onboard technology, known as Telematics, was about to uncover the truth.
Telematics device takes the data directly from the car. It's almost like a black box inside an aeroplane. You can capture a lot of useful data how the vehicle is performing.
And critically, where and when it's being driven. Using the telematics info, Neil was able to accurately track the car's location throughout the night in question.
He'd done a number of journeys. The vehicle had been filled up with fuel at a petrol station.
The refuelling happened some hours after Mr. Kenton said he'd last used the car, which meant, crucially, that the petrol station's CCTV cameras would reveal the identity of the thief.
Looking at the CCTV, we can clearly see the Audi TT driving up to the petrol pump. We can even see that the roof is down, which is good from CCTV evidence point of view. Interestingly, when the driver gets out of the vehicle, it's not the thief, it's Mr. Kenton. So this is key bit of evidence.
Far from supporting Mr. Kenton's story, the CCTV blew it apart. The car had been in his possession all along. He'd been caught lying about the car being stolen, and further analysis of the telematics data revealed that's not all he'd been up to that night.
From there, he'd been driven round again, and about 4:30 in the morning, he'd been involved in a serious collision. The speeds we're talking about are probably in excess of 90 miles an hour prior to the collision. The collision itself was approximately 66 miles per hour. The vehicle has hit a number of stationary vehicles. He's lucky not to be injured, and he ran off from the scene. So, there's a number of innocent motorists there that have had their cars damaged.
He'd been speeding, smashed into multiple vehicles, and then left the scene of the accident, which was enough to drive him to lie about the car being stolen.
As an ex-police officer, I've dealt with a number of serious collisions. In my opinion, it's ridiculous speed to drive through a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, regardless of whatever time of day or night it is. It was fortunate in a way that it happened at 4:30 in the morning without any pedestrians around. Goodness knows what would have happened if it had been 4:30 in the afternoon.
Although no one had been hurt, the car itself had reached the end of the road.
Our vehicle, the Audi TT, which is worth about £35,000, was written off, totally written off by the insurance company.
Mr. Kenton had told a very expensive lie, and Neil's team went to pay him a visit.
It was key for us to actually ask the client face to face exactly what had happened. He said in his statement to us he'd last seen the car at 10 o'clock the previous night. Didn't know anything about the accident, didn't know anything about the theft. So we've got the recorded phone call, and we've got the written statement of truth from Mr. Kenton. All of that, alongside the telematics data, showed that he wasn't telling the truth, and actually proves beyond doubt that he's lied when he said the car was stolen.
The evidence was passed to the police, and the case went to court.
Pleaded guilty to dangerous driving and perverting the course of justice, where he was sentenced to 14 months imprisonment. It just goes to show the seriousness the court system take this sort of offence.
Later, a personal injury claim for faulty furniture is toppled by CCTV.
It's quite clear from the footage that it didn't happen. It's quite clear from the footage that she broke our chair, and it was quite clear from the footage that it wasn't a genuine accident and no injuries were sustained.
And a claimant goes on the defensive when their motor insurance scam is stopped in its tracks.
When you get asked certain questions, where did you buy it? Have I lost it before? Makes you think, well, could there have been another circumstance or dilemma that you're trying to oppose?
A big growth area in the fight against fraud is in specialist consultants, like Tara Shelton of ICOG. She uses techniques that identify fraud more swiftly than normal, all thanks to her remarkable background as a police officer with a psychology degree. She can spot a fraudster with just a phone call.
We use nearly 30 indicators to assist us in assessing that claim. I'm obviously not going to tell you what they are because I don't want to divulge that. For one obvious trend that is presented to us case by case is where customers answer a question with a question to buy themselves thinking time of how to respond.
This comes under the umbrella of what Tara terms evasive behaviour.
They will intentionally try and divert the call handler away from the discussion at that present time. It may be because they feel uncomfortable, and it may be because they haven't prepared enough
As far as Tara's concerned, there's no one type of person who commits insurance fraud.
I think the people that make claims actually range in how they present themselves, so you will get the individuals that are stupid. You will also get the individuals that don't even think that an insurer would assess a claim and that you should simply provide a police crime number and an invoice, and that's all that's required.
These are the ones that totally underestimate Tara and her associates in the industry. These days, all the information that's provided is analysed and cross-checked. So fraudsters with skeletons in their closets find their past can come back to haunt them. Neil McFarlane is the managing director of TH March & Co., a company that provides specialist insurance for jewellery. They were contacted by a man who'd taken out a policy with the company.
The claim was originally notified us relating to a ring and a chunky gold bracelet which were stolen by means of assault by two raiders with the combined value coming in at just under £10,000.
Just had the most horrendous weekend and I got mugged outside my house in broad daylight. Just a very stressful weekend, put it that way. How's your weekend been better than mine?
Being mugged isn't something you'd normally laugh about. And that wasn't the only bizarre thing about the claimant's behaviour.
What we found slightly unusual about the circumstance of this claim was that the assault took place outside the claimant's home. Rather than go back into his house, he got into his car, drove to an unknown destination and sat in his car for half an hour before contacting the police.
The claimant's version of events simply didn't ring true.
Because the value of this claim was nearly £10,000 and the fact it wasn't immediately reported to the police straight after the incident, we found this to be slightly suspicious. If I'd been assaulted outside my house, I don't know about you, but the first thing I would have done is gone back inside my home and phoned the police from there so they could attend the scene of the crime and then carry out a search in the local area for the perpetrators of that particular attack.
TH March decided that before the claim could be progressed, they needed more information.
What made this particular case difficult was that upon further questioning, the claimant became quite evasive and tried to derail the conversation and take it away from the facts trying to be established.
It wasn't just my jewellery they took a wallet as well, with on card in it and stuff like that. So yeah, very informative. So whatever the procedure is, what's the procedure now?
The claimant tries to steer the conversation away from the details of what happened and towards the claim's procedure. Concerned, TH March looked into his past insurance history.
What we found slightly strange is that 12 months beforehand, this particular claimant had also been assaulted at his home, again by two attackers. Now, the chances of being assaulted once are quite remote. The chance of being assaulted twice within a 12-month period is extremely remote.
So his home was either some sort of mugging hotspot, or there was something decidedly dubious about the claim. Either way, TH March's investigations uncovered new evidence which meant the whole claim was indefinitely detained.
When we found out that he had a string of previous convictions, which he did not disclose at the time of taking the policy, which made the policy worthless.
When the claimant found out they'd rumbled his criminal past, he still tried to persist, assuming that a bit of smooth talking would sort everything out.
When I actually took the policy out, there was I had like a criminal conviction a while back, which I didn't think was relevant. So I actually clicked no instead of yes on the question. On the question. If the premium was higher on the basis of having a criminal conviction when taking the policy out, that would come out of the final settlement of the claim. Is that correct?
Nope, as was clearly stated in the wording of the policy. Realising that not mentioning his past convictions means the chance of a payout is starting to look like ancient history, the man then attempts to plead his case.
I mean, just completely out of interest, when you take an insurance out, what does it actually, what does it actually, why should that affect an insurance anyway? I mean, I can understand, if there was stuff on it like insurance fraud and stuff like that, then clearly you wouldn't somebody wouldn't insure somebody.
Exactly.
I don't think it should be a problem, really.
Yeah.
Well, he might not have thought it was a problem, but it wasn't up to him.
We feel that due to the circumstances of this particular claim, it is highly likely that it was a fraudulent claim.
Unsurprisingly, this jewellery claim had lost its sparkle. It was rejected and the premium returned.
My advice to anybody taking out a policy of insurance is be completely truthful. Honesty is always the best policy.
For some, a quiet pint in the local can be a great way to kickstart the weekend after a busy week. What you don't expect is to be seriously injured. This CCTV shows a pub manager from UK-wide chain JD Wetherspoon hurrying to attend to an incident in the beer garden. A woman who claims to have been injured is seen next to a broken chair. She then hobbles back into the pub, assisted by a pal. Katie Doyle is part of JD Wetherspoon's in-house legal team. They were contacted by the injured woman's representatives with an account of what had happened.
We received a letter from the claimant's solicitors outlining that the claimant had a fall in the beer garden. The claimant said that she was sitting on the chair collapsed, and when the chair collapsed, she obviously sustained personal injury.
The woman was claiming that the accident had happened as a result of a defective chair, and therefore the pub was at fault. On the face of it, her account matched what the pub manager had observed when he first arrived on the scene of the accident. But what the claimant didn't count on was another witness in the form of the pub garden's CCTV camera.
The pub manager revealed that he had the CCTV footage, and it wasn't as the claimant was saying it was.
In fact, rewinding the footage reveals a very different story. 6.5 minutes before the pub manager was called out to help the injured woman, this was what had happened.
The claimant was sitting at one end of the beer garden, but it was in the shade. She then decided to move with the rest of her party to the other side of the beer garden. They then realised that the arm of the chair was a little bit wobbly. She started wobbling the arm of the chair.
Something tells me she wasn't a qualified carpenter interested in the chair's construction.
They then broke the arm of the chair. What they then realised is that this could be a potential claim. So they picked up the chair, moved it and positioned it on its side on the floor, at which point the claimant positioned herself as if the chair had collapsed from beneath her.
The pub manager is then called and comes out to offer assistance.
So it was clear from the CCTV footage that the incident didn't occur as the claimant was saying it did. She broke the chair and caused the chair to then be a hazard. So alarm bells started to ring at head office. The legal department obviously realised that it wasn't a genuine claim.
The legal team informed the claimant's solicitors that due to the CCTV evidence, they weren't going to admit liability. At this point, they expected the claimant to take a seat.
The response we received back was that they were proceeding with the claim. We were at fault, and that we had a responsibility to the customer to provide a chair that was safe. They were going to continue to the end with the claim, and they would fight it to the courts if they needed to. We were shocked. How you can even suggest that that was a genuine claim was beyond Wetherspoons. It's quite clear from the footage that it didn't happen. It's quite clear from the footage that she broke our chair, and it was quite clear from the footage that it wasn't a genuine accident and no injuries were sustained.
The legal team then sent the solicitors a copy of the footage to prove the woman's claim hadn't got legs.
I think it was at that point that she realised that she'd been found out.
Wetherspoons had well and truly got the measure of the claimant, and they never heard from her again.
They are opportunists, and that's all they are. They're looking for a quick buck, and because we are a big company, they presume that we've got money and that they can pursue a successful claim against us, which is actually quite frustrating.
The Wetherspoons one didn't even bother to fake a fall. But across the pond, the fraudsters are a bit more method, throwing themselves into the role to put on a convincing performance. What could be more American than a family outing that combines shopping and fast food? Seen here entering his local supermarket, Tommy Masterson goes straight to the snack section to stock up on a hot dog. Minutes later, an apparently unrelated incident occurs when, in another part of the supermarket, Lisa Vanilla suffers a horrific accident. The dramatic fall leaves her floored and helpless. Other shoppers rush to the women's apparel section to help. And the Phoenix Fire Department is on the scene within minutes, ensuring that the stricken shopper is given the first aid she so desperately requires. Vanilla later contacted the supermarket to claim compensation for her injuries, which she alleged had been caused by slipping on an unattended hot dog. She claimed the company had been negligent by not making the floor safe for shoppers. The supermarket decided to check out her story, and investigators studied the store's CCTV. It was only then that they realised that Masterson's hot dog purchase and Vanilla's fall were in fact related. The fall certainly looks dramatic, but seconds before, Masterson appears, hot dog in hand, apparently scanning the area. He quickly places his hot dog on the floor, motions to his small companion to keep quiet, and then scarpers. Exactly 10 seconds later, Lisa Vanilla appears with her basket, and in the exact place where Masterson left the hot dog, she executes her fall. Let's see that again. Hot dog down. Slip up. Fake accident ahoy. They were in it together, but their plan had hit a snag. The CCTV footage showed they'd been telling porkies about Vanilla's accident. Far from suffering a freak injury involving an errant sausage, Masterson had deliberately placed it on the floor for his accomplice to slip on. The supermarket wasn't prepared to swallow the slippery hot dog story. They threw out the claim and passed their evidence to the authorities. It subsequently emerged that the dubious duo had used the slip and fall scam in 2 other locations, each time claiming that a hazardous hot dog had been the main culprit. If Masterson and Vanilla thought their scam would bring home the bacon, they were wrong. At court, they both pleaded guilty to insurance fraud. Masterson received 3 years probation and a fine, and Vanilla was sentenced to a year in the slammer. "20 years ago, car theft stood at over 600,000 per year. But thanks to advances in vehicle security, thefts have dropped to a fraction of that total. Even so, it's still a major concern for drivers. One policyholder who experienced this firsthand was Miss Carr. LV's Claire Lunn worked on the case.
Claim was reported to the LV Claims Department, and it involved the theft of a BMW, which was worth in the region of £10,000.
So when was it that you discovered the vehicle missing?
When I returned to the car, which was around about 8 in the evening.
Okay, so what are the chances that anyone known or connected to you could have taken the vehicle?
I would say pretty small.
During the phone call, Miss Carr seemed vague about the details and the insurers became concerned.
The sequence of events that she gave with regards to the theft of a vehicle were inconsistent, and therefore we felt that we needed to investigate it further.
During a subsequent call, the claims handler requested the vehicle documents and the keys, the claimant having confirmed that she still had both sets.
So if obviously you have both the keys, how do you believe the vehicle was taken?
To be honest, I wouldn't even know, and I would like to know. I don't see how anybody, I know it's not impossible, but I don't think anyone has the right or can see how someone could even do that, bang out of order.
Bang out of order is a description that could also be applied to the keys that she eventually sent in.
When we received the 2 sets of keys, they were obviously different. They were a different shape, different size, a different weight, and when we investigated one set of the keys in more detail, it literally sort of broke in our hands. At this point, you immediately start to doubt what the insured has told us about the circumstances relating to the theft, and you start wondering what's happened to the original keys, and were they used to steal the vehicle.
The keys were sent off for testing, and the claims handler called again to try and unlock the inconsistencies in the case.
So you supplied 2 keys to us?
Yes.
Do you have any other vehicles at all?
No at all.
Anyone that you know with the BMW at all?
No.
Both the keys that you supplied, have you used both of them?
No, I've only ever had to use one.
Do you know which key it was that you used? Was it the newer looking key or was it the other key?
Oh, I wouldn't know. The one that I normally use is the one with the, what would I call it? It's got the BMW kind of rectangle fob on it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they both like that?
Even Miss Carr seemed unsure which key was which, and she started to go on the defensive.
When you get asked certain questions, where did you buy it? Have I lost it before? It makes you think, well, could there have been another circumstance or dilemma that you're trying to oppose? I'm not sure.
It is obviously part of our inquiry to get as much information as possible, you see.
Oh, okay.
The key manufacturers then came back to LV with the results of the tests.
They advised that the key that had fallen apart was a false key, and the other key wasn't actually registered to the claimant's vehicle and hadn't actually been used since 2010. So we now knew that the claimant had actually told us an untruth.
With evidence that Miss Carr had lied, Claire felt she had more than enough grounds to shut the door on the case.
At that point, we repudiated the claim and we passed our concerns on to the police.
They launched an investigation, and finally the true story of the missing car was revealed.
The police discovered that our claimant had in fact arranged with a male associate for them to take her vehicle and sell a vehicle for parts. The theft of the vehicle never occurred, and it was a staged theft all along. The male associate stood to gain financially from the sale of the vehicle and the parts, and our claimant put in a fraudulent claim so that they were going to gain financially from an insurance claim in the region of £10,000.
It was a brazen attempt to defraud the insurers and dispose of the vehicle. But Miss Carr wasn't prepared to walk away with nothing once her claim was rejected.
She then called the male and demanded 50% of the money that he'd made from the vehicle. When he refused to give her any money, then she threatened the male to say that she'd actually contact the police and say that he'd stolen her vehicle. Fortunately for the man, he had thought to record the call recordings between him and our claimant, and he passed those over to the police for their investigation.
With the evidence closing in, the case proceeded to court.
Our claimant, Miss Carr, was prosecuted and found guilty of fraud. She received a fine of £620 and was ordered to complete 200 hours of community service. This sends out a strong message to any have-a-go fraudster that insurance is not an easy target and that we will push for the most severe sentence.